Hello everyone, welcome back. Time for another episode of Off the Hinges, where the gate got knocked off the hinges. It's not anybody's fault, but the cattle are out. There's some still left, some still on the outside of the arena, and these questions will be much the same way. We'll have some arena type questions, we'll have some outside real life type questions. I'm joined today with my co-host as always, Addison. Say hello to everybody,
Hello.
Addison. Makes the duo look better for sure to have her around, especially when we got somebody as talented and good looking as Josh Phillips that we get to talk to today. So.
That's right. Worked all night on my hair now, come on.
Josh, give us the hot lap around the arena of your rodeo career, kind of the earliest memories of horseback and rodeo to where we're at today.
No. It's been said multiple times that they took the rattle out of my hand and put the rope in it. So Dave Gibson probably coined that phrase for me, and that's kind of how it's been. I started running up and down the road with Dad, Lee Phillips, when I was like 4. Ropings everywhere, Missouri, Kansas, anywhere, Indiana, anywhere we could go rope. And I started roping and competing myself in 6th grade, so IJRA all the way through IHSRA. Graduated, went to college, didn't go to a rodeo college. I went to Illinois State and graduated there and went to work.
What'd you major in at Illinois State?
Ag Industry Management was my major in there, and I graduated there, and immediately upon graduating I went to work for the United States Department of Ag for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and here I am 22 years of service later. Working in Dyersburg, Tennessee. I've been in Tennessee since January 14. Got me a little longhorn herd down there. Still roping some, not as much as I want to. It just so happens that I've decided to kind of turn this judging junior rodeo, little britches, high school rodeo, whatever else, into a part-time job. So that's what I'm doing up here.
Well, we're glad to have you up here, Josh. You kind of stole some of my thunder a little bit on I ask everybody what they do on a typical Tuesday morning before they go to lunch. What is it that you're doing? And you said you are working for. Go ahead and.
Yeah, working for NRCS. I'm the district conservationist in Dyer County, Tennessee. We have kind of become the lion's den of erosion control for West Tennessee. We've had some initiatives, special dollars and that through the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, and a typical Tuesday before lunch, the hair's going to be flying and the desk is probably going to be upside down before the coffee gets cold. So it's been a wild time for us down there.
I understand. It's a wild time for anybody with the way weather patterns have been and whatnot. And I know from even up here, erosion's a big thing, trying to keep topsoil where it's supposed to be for sure. So
that's right, and our weather events have changed drastically. We're not getting rains anymore. We're getting storms.
Sure. Our security team is crack here. Off the hinges. What got you into the rodeo? I know your dad was going and hauled you with it. You kind of said that, but kind of family history. What how did Dad pick it up? Dad shoot horses, I know, and so, heck of a good roper. I never seen anybody that could flat out miss and catch like Lee could for sure.
No,
he was unbelievable for sure. I mean, he would catch clean. I mean, a lot. Right. But if he didn't catch clean, he still caught.
It didn't matter. There's one thing anybody that roped with Dad very much is you promise. Just because he split their head, don't you quit. Because he will fish it on there, even if he's got to go get another bucket of minnows.
Be ready, because he will turn it.
That's right. No, Dad got into roping and stuff. Dad's born and raised in Southwest Missouri. Mama's born and raised in Taylorville, Illinois. When Dad left Missouri, he couldn't go to Kansas for law enforcement reasons. He probably shouldn't have been in Oklahoma either, and he had to get out of Missouri. So he ended up in Illinois. He had a brother that lived here, and then they ended up at the fairgrounds in Taylorville, and Mom was boarding her horse there, and everything started. And then Dad was part of the original 20 limit roping club at Edinburgh, Illinois, at Wheeler Hobbs Arena. And the rest is history. That was in the 70s. So, I mean, that was kind of the start of it all. Like I said, I've been riding a horse since before I could walk, so...
If that all got taken away from you, Josh, and you didn't have any horses, and you had all the time and the money back that's been spent on it, is there something that piques your interest that you can think of? I know for me, I always thought it would be neat to fly helicopters, that type of stuff. Probably could have owned one with what we've spent on rodeo throughout the years. But is there something else that...
I really don't know because, I mean, like I said, I live and breathe it. I do. This is what we do. To say, if I could do it all over again, would I change anything? Well, hell yeah, everybody's going to change something. But it still involves a rope and rubber on the saddle horn and doing what we do every day, whether it's in the pen and in the arena competing or 9 deep in the truck driving 12 hours to the middle of nowhere, Nebraska to work our asses off for 4 days for what? A little bit of food, and they made the mistake of telling us we could have all the beer we could drink. Well,
that's funny you say that because that kind of leads into my next question and I'll tell you where I'm thinking on this. Your least favorite memory. Everybody's got favorite memories from rodeo, but everybody's got memories that stick with them where they left something on the table. And 9 people in the truck, I'll tell you mine on that. We went to that rope, and I don't even remember where that town was. We rolled in 9 of us in a truck and 4 head of horses that had to carry all 9 of us. At that, entered up I don't know how many different ways. And everybody was done, and I was high call back at the end of that deal, and everybody had been sitting around waiting to leave and get done. And I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, and this blow sand. Remember that box was so deep?
Terrible.
We had to stand sideways by the barrier in order to get out because it was. I'm not exaggerating. 2.5 foot deep in the back of the box to the front of the box. I'm high call back, go out there, turn my steer. And had all the time in the world, and my heeler roped a front leg after we'd been there all day. And that's how that deal ended. And I think it will stick with me my whole life.
Yeah, and what I can remember about that whole conversation is we're lined up at the truck, and we're like, guess what, high call? Here's the keys.
That one hurt because we'd been branding for a couple days before that, too. So it wasn't like we were fresh. I mean, we were kind of wore out when we had to do that deal.
Oh, I mean, mine, honestly, Matt... There's been a lot of them racked out the gate, but I would say the absolute worst, and it wasn't even my fault. It's similar to your deal. It wasn't my fault. I did my job, but U.S. Open at Sterling, Illinois, Double G Arena. Fast time in the first round. We were a 6-1. I thought, all right, this will be all right. No big deal. I didn't know the boy I was roping with. The gates cracked, and I was heeling, which... Anybody that knows me knows I'm either feast or famine on the healing side. I can do it, but anyway, we won't go off into that snake pit. But down the pin I go, and I'm like, you bet, I got out good. I got a phenomenal haze. I'm set up, ready to go. And I look behind me, and my header's horse was facing the bathrooms at Double G. So I'm like, well, this won't be too bad. We were a 6 on the first one. Maybe we can salvage something out of here. And I haze the steer out of the strip and shoot. And my header loop-de-loops him and wraps him around there, ropes a front leg. I'm like, sweet. From hero to zero. Just how I like it.
I miss that barn for sure. I wish it was still around. But
yeah, it's cool to hear stories like that. Cause when I was little, I remember my dad would always take me up there with John Irvin. And I remember... falling off my little halflinger that I was riding, and I'm bawling my eyeballs out, of course, and I call him Uncle John, and Uncle John comes over, and he's like, get up, you're fine. So, it's cool to hear stories about Double G, because
there's lots of them. Well, there's plenty of them from the ropings and stuff that went on up there for the years that we started going. So, I remember the first high school rodeo they had at Double G was in '94, because that was my freshman year. We didn't know where we were going, but I promise you one thing. There's not a colder parking lot in the United States.
Fact.
We went up there one year. I want to say I might have been judging a junior rodeo, or it was something.
I froze horses in the trailer in that parking lot. Couldn't get them out of the trailer. Doors were froze shut.
In June. I thought, this isn't going to be too bad. Yeah. I don't know how many inches of snow we should have got, but I don't think we got any. But I'm promising you, it was an ice cooler, which is kind of suitable for what's sitting there now. It's the biggest Walmart distribution center,
Right.
cold frozen storage anywhere, but it's in the right spot.
Yeah, they've save on AC bills,
Yeah.
I'm sure, on that place because
It was a
outside temperature seems like it's always colder
Oh,
there
yeah,
than anywhere else.
there's Antarctica's got to be warmer than that place.
Favorite rig you went down the road in, and favorite trailer. Why were they your favorites? What was so good about them?
It's kind of funny because there's been a lot of talk about trailers recently because I just won a trailer at a roping, 2-horse inline, turnbow. You bet, she's a peach.
More
What I
aerodynamic that way.
What I try to kind of keep quiet is I won that at a goat roping series. But anyway, no, honestly, favorite trailer ever is from the time I was in 6th grade until I was a sophomore. I run a 1969 King 1-horse trailer. I don't even want to know how many miles that old red horse of mine had on him in that trailer. But you could take it anywhere. You could park it anywhere. If it was muddy as could be, everybody else is stuck, and I just pick the tongue of that trailer up and roll it back out to the road and set it on the ball, and away we'd go.
Sure enough.
Whatever truck was hooked to it, didn't matter. 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, didn't matter. But, I mean, stone cold trailer, that's got to be it. Truck-wise, I'm going to have to go with old Whitey.
He was a trooper for
My
a
old
fact.
2000 Dodge Dilly, cab and a half, 2-wheel drive with a 5-speed in it. And I promise you, nobody owned a truck to get better mileage than that one did.
I remember that truck because then that truck, when you got it, had a trailer drug behind it so much the ball was all mushroomed
Yep.
out from.
Yeah, the first ball was, I bought it from Herb Snow. It had 84,000 miles on it, and the ball was a wreck on it. I know. I saw a scale ticket on that truck. Herb actually hauled cattle to all them ropings at Double G. I saw a scale ticket on it that they were being funny and got a scale ticket. 46,285 pounds, truck, trailer, and cattle behind that trailer. And it would tote it like no big deal.
That truck run a lot of miles.
It
for
run a
fact.
lot of miles. We took it to Nebraska that year with 9 head of horses on it. We couldn't have jammed 2 more buckets or 1 more rope bag in the nose of that trailer. And it got 16.5 miles to the gallon. And you and your wife were out in front in her car chasing cops down or avoiding them or drawing them away from us or whatever else. You'd zoom back around on the CB. You need fuel? No, I'm good. Let's go. Well, we need fuel. I don't. Let's keep trucking, y'all.
That's right, because we took the car and then
We took
loaded
the
all the
car,
horses in
put
that
all-
trailer, so we didn't have to take 2 trucks and trailers.
Yeah, there was.
And went out there that way, and I run Smokey and the Bandit for
Yeah,
you, so
you're
we
right.
could get out there in one night. I remember that.
Somebody call Matt. He's too far away. I can't hear him on the radio.
Bad idea, kids. Bad idea.
Yeah,
don't do that. That's a bad idea.
Nope. Just get a radar detector. That's safer.
Leave earlier if you have to. Try that.
Well,
Days earlier.
well, it sounds like you've been through quite the trail. What do you say was your best advice someone had given you throughout the years?
I mean, I could write a book. I mean, my dad is why I'm where I'm at right now. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, but probably just go rope the steer. Just go rope. That's it. Don't overthink it. Don't camp out on it. The one that you missed yesterday's over. You can't redo it. You can never get it back. Just go rope. And life's a lot like that, though.
Sure. Sure. Best rodeo that you've been to, favorite place to go, location, some place that you always look forward to being at.
And there's too many of them. I mean, all the years and years and years, Wheeler Hobbs Arena holds a very special place to me. That's where it all started. Years ago after Wheeler passed away, they had his memorial ropings and everything else. And I mean, I would do it. I would go from wherever I was to come back and make sure I did that. And I've got the buckles to prove that I was there. But probably, honestly, roping wise, it'd be the olden days at Wheelers.
Sure.
You know.
That's another question for you. I hate to say it, but getting older and been at this I think a decade's 10 years, and we're starting to stack tens together here now.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite time period? You talk about them old days. I can remember that. We used to sleep underneath the trailers and stuff like that. It wasn't the hotels behind trucks that it is today. But it's nice with a family. I'm not going to say that, that sleeping underneath stock trailers isn't for everybody, and if you got kids in diapers, it doesn't sound like the greatest time right now for sure.
But it wouldn't hurt them any.
No, we all grew up, I guess, all right. But what would you say was? There's stuff about today that's nice. We can get down the road. We got trucks that are comfortable. You ain't had your spine compressed the whole way to the pen. What do you? If you had to pick it, what would you say?
I gotta go with the olden days, honestly, Matt. We. Even back in the early 2000s, that late 90s, early 2000s, the crossover in between high school and college, and then being out on my own, and being forced to grow up. Sure. The trucks that run like scalded dogs, and the stock trailers that get us down the road, and well, you may not have you don't have somewhere to sleep behind the truck, so you got to call somebody. Hey man, I'm gonna be an hour from you. You mind if I bunk up there tonight? That was where it's at, and but it's still that way today.
Yeah.
If I'm within an hour of your house today, and I've got my living quarters trailer behind the truck, I'm not staying in that thing.
Sure.
I'm gonna come steal your water and your bed and whatever you got in your refrigerator to drink.
No kind of docking like free docking.
That's right. But we all do it.
That's right. Favorite horse that you've ever been on, and your favorite memory being horseback. And we've been horseback cowboying, we've been horseback roping, horseback rodeoing.
The horses over the years, it's a strong tie for me. I had two of the best horses I could ever even think about replacing. My old red horse that I junior in high school rodeoed on, old Dino. I can recite it as plain as day because I remember it all. I was 6, he was 12 when we bought him. The first winter we owned him, he broke my wrist. He bucked me off in Wheeler's barn because some dumb kid decided, I'll chase this steer out. And he bucked me off smooth as could be. I didn't even know what crow hopping was at 12 years old, but he showed me what it was.
Sure.
But a high school rodeoed on him. He carried me to nationals. He was a head horse. He carried me to nationals as a calf horse, which, just so everybody knows, he was not a calf horse. And then I rode him in college and that, and then I bought an app horse that anybody that knew me up until probably 2 years after I left Illinois, that's what I rode, old Robbie.
You wouldn't know him to be an app.
No, nobody.
That's the situation.
The
old man lacked spots.
He lacked spots, and that's why I bought him. I did. I bought him because he didn't have spots, and he was a freak of nature. There was nothing ever going to outrun him. He was a train wreck to be around. He would make you want to stomp baby chickens. He would aggravate you that bad, but he was legit, and he was as honest as they come. Those two right there. Dino built me to be ready for Robbie, and Robbie created what I am now with the change. Life changes and everything else, but he made me the roper that I am now with other things. But the horsemanship side of it, he was a freak. But there it is.
He was good.
He was a good for a long time.
If you had to tell kids starting out now, with advice that you've got, and the wisdom you've gathered up over the years of going like this, what would you tell them? I think I was talking earlier, the debt, having to worry about debt and who you owe money to and that type of stuff. It sucks the fun out of rodeo.
It does.
When you have to do that stuff. And, we envy and worried about, what truck and trailer you've got or whatever. Build you a good horse or get you one bought. Use your money for that. Figure out lodging later, type of a deal.
That's right. I would say, and I was older. I say older. I was probably late 20s, early 30s when I learned it. And there's more to this than that. But The biggest thing I've ever learned is you win with your left hand, and all you do is rope with your right hand. So if you put it in the spectrum of a team roper, get your horsemanship down, get your horse right. Because if your horse can do it as a walk and a trot, they ought to be able to do it at a run. They ought to be able to do it at a lope. But I spent so much of my life, I won with my right hand because I could rope. Because my dad jokes around that I was 15 or 16 years old before I knew what a crescent wrench was, because he'd send me after one, and where would he find me? Over here roping the dummy, roping a barrel, doing something else, rather than going and doing what I was supposed to be, because I always had a rope in my hand. But, that would be the first part of that, was get your horsemanship down, go do that part of it. But the second part would be go talk to people. Go talk to people. Get out of your comfort zone, because you're never going to know more than somebody else. I've said this for years, and I kind of said it just to say it to begin with, but it's really soaked in for me, is I've spent so much money learning how to play the game of team roping. You play the game of team roping, you learn how to rodeo, but I've spent money. It's not spent money in entry fees. I've gone to clinics. I've gone and drove 14 hours to Texas to rope for 2 days with a guy to drive right back home. But it's get out there and learn it. Because, what I said is I've spent so much money learning to play this game, I'll talk about this game to anybody that'll listen. And if anybody wants to listen, everybody knows how to get a hold of me, or I'm pretty easy to find. And, that's the big one. Because whenever you go and learn, there's always a different perspective. And if you can pick up one little thing that'll help you for something, that'll help you do this or you do that or whatever else, all them years ago when me and you started running around together and we started running and jamming and punching and everything else, that group of us, we all learned more by who you're around.
That's right.
Attitude goes a long way in our world and what we do.
It's undeniable, and it will always be this way in rodeo as far as I'm concerned. You will be as good as who you travel with.
That's right.
There's a rare freak of nature that just pops out every once in a while, but as a general rule, how you practice and who you run with, all them guys kind of end up roping.
They do.
Alike.
That's right.
With it. You feed off each other and push each other. So.
Well, a couple years ago, I was in Texas for a couple days, and I called Chad Masters. I said, Chad, what are you doing? He said, I'm at home. Where are you at? I said, I'm hanging out in Decatur. Sent me his address. He said, come rope with me. I went to spend an afternoon with Chad Masters. I didn't have horses down there. I had a rope, and I had boots with spurs on them, just on the off chance that I might get to ride something. He put me on a horse he just traded for. Said, here you go. I rode him in the box. He said, hey, he's a spook in the box. Good luck. I said, tell me what you want me to do. You tell me what you want me to do. Cycle him, circle him, move him around, move him around, move him around. I rode that horse for 2 hours, and I roped 7 steers off of him. But I learned more in that 4-hour afternoon with that man about what to do with the problem child.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about the roping. I know how to rope. I don't know how to rope like Chad Masters does, but I know how to rope. But I've known Chad for years, and that's the connections that you make, like me and you. Same deal, years apart. Chad's the same age as me. We rodeoed together. We high school, we're at the multi-state high school rodeos and stuff together. So it's a.
I don't rope like Chad either.
No, but I think that's what rodeo's about. Those different relationships that you make with everybody. As a contestant, you grow being friends with everybody, and then other people, your friends' parents, become kind of your parents, and that's just how it is.
That's right.
I think people outside of that don't really it's hard to explain to them, because it's well, they're basically like my mom too, and these are like my siblings. We're all just so close. It's more of a family than a.
Oh, it absolutely is, and the thing is, I've got 2 states and 40 years worth of it, and 2 states that I've lived in, But I mean, it is a family. It is absolutely a family.
Well, you get outside of rodeo, they look at you like you're crazy. You know, when you tell them what do you look so tired for? Well, my buddy broke down clear down Southern Illinois, had an injector go out of his truck. I drove down there and got his trailer and hauled his horses home so that they weren't standing on the trailer. The other buddy took a flatbed and went and picked a truck and dropped it off somewhere.
Easy now, you're getting a little personal here, brother. You're getting a little personal. We know who we're talking about on this story.
We've all been there for sure, you know. But I mean, that's how the rodeo deal works. That's what's, you know, it makes us different for sure.
Well, and that's, you know, I go back to, all right, and you know, you kind of prefaced this question earlier, and I can wait and go this way, or you can ask the question, but. You know, I go through my phone, and if I look at the 500 contacts that are in it or whatever else, all right, you cut 25% out for work-related things, and I really get down into breaking it down, and it's all rodeo people. You know, Northern Illinois, Southern Illinois, Central Illinois. I've lived all over Illinois, and now I've been in Tennessee for almost 10 years. And the irony of it is if I need something, I know who to call. I've got them stacked out from northern Wisconsin to South Louisiana and everywhere in between. And if I need something, I know that I can call somebody that can call somebody that knows somebody where you're broke down at.
Right.
And it's the family aspect, exactly what you talked about earlier. But I mean, those are our people. You know, that's
those connections that it's hard to find other places other than here.
That's a lot of why I want to do this podcast. We've got newer families, you know, that are coming into rodeo that, you know, aren't, you know, I guess the years behind them that we have, you know, and that, you know, they need to be accepted in, you know, into that too. They just don't know anybody, you know, other than to see them, you know, when they ride by or see them on the gate or whatever type of a deal. And these podcasts will help with that. I mean, a guy like you that's, you know, you haven't ended up in debtor's prison. You figured out how to keep yourself keep yourself going. You know, you've got some advice for people, and I appreciate you sitting down here.
Oh, I love it.
Anything else, Addison?
I don't think so. I appreciate it.
Well, Josh, we sure do appreciate and value your experience. And we're down in Monticello this weekend. Josh come up and judged the rodeo, so that I didn't have to be here all weekend. It's only a 5-hour drive.
It's only a 5-hour drive, and a buddy of mine called me to bail him out. I didn't know if I could be here. Think you could help a brother out, and here I am. Oh, by the way, you got to be on this podcast too, man. But I enjoy it. I mean, I do what I do. We all do what we do. It's that voodoo that we do.
That you do. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
You bet.
We'll catch up with you again, I'm sure, down the road here. Before I quit, though, asking people to call out somebody else, 2 other people, if you can think of it, that we need to go, me and Addison, go and try and get gathered up with them, and that you think would be an interesting interview and have some advice that could help some people out at rodeo.
Absolutely. So,
obviously, your dad is one of those people. You know that I mean, I've known him for a long time too. You know, I mean, he'll give you advice for sure, and it'll be sound when he does it. You know, whether you're his son or somebody that's roping with the son. So
that's right. No, I mean, I thought about that a little bit, and I think Scott and Tammy Jones would be a good one. I rodeoed with both of them. I was laughing and talking this weekend. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's kids here that rodeoed with me. I can't be this old. They can't have kids in high school. Oh, wait a minute. I graduated high school 25 years ago. But, Tammy's my age. Scott's a year or 2 older than me. Their kids are now in high school. I think those 2 would be a couple to grasp. And they've been down there. They've done it. They've played the game from the bottom up, just from where we are to where they are right now, and their kids are great kids, great family, all the way around.
We'll try and get them sat down for sure. I've always liked Scott. I've got a special place kind of in my heart for guys that can cowboy.
That's right.
And Scott's one of those type of guys he can sure enough cowboy too when he needs to, which is handy for when the gate comes off the hinges. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Appreciate it, Josh. We'll get them get them talked to and see if we can get them sat down with us and
You bet.
stay tuned for that
Don't forget
interview.
the old man. You should have got here earlier
Yeah,
today.
I know.
You
I
coulda
wish
grabbed
I
him.
wish I'd have gathered him up because he can tell you for sure where you're going wrong on stuff. So.